The taxi strike, which has left thousands of commuters stranded for 3 consecutive days in Durban, has been called off. The announcement was made during a joint media briefing between transport authorities and the taxi industry in Durban. The strike action was started by the KwaDabeka and Clermont Taxi Association earlier this week. MEC for Transport and Human Settlements, Siboniso Duma, joins us for the latest on the negotiation that has resulted in the suspension of a strike of Durban taxi operators. A very good evening to you, MEC. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, it's been 3 full days of a taxi strike that left thousands of people stranded and scrambling for alternative transport arrangements. What kind of agreement has been reached?
Good evening, Paul. Let me greet your good self and your viewers at home. Indeed, you know that in the province or in South Africa at large, 70% of commuters relies on the taxi as an industry. So it means it is the bedrock of the economy. Many industries are going to suffer, schools, almost all the institutions. So it meant that other kids couldn't go to school, other workers couldn't go, and unfortunately they'll be facing a job at work because they really don't understand some of these issues. So that is why we had to intervene. And we do have a relationship with the taxi industry, Santaco in particular, so we had to get closer to them. Yesterday the process started with the Teguini Department of Transport and what is called EMTC, because we got 5 regions. The Teguini were all represented into one formation. Amongst other things, the issue of that their taxis have been pounded, so they couldn't go to work. And unfortunately, some of their drivers had to be arrested for different reasons. And the reality of e-hailing system, if it's not regulated, they are saying that from time to time there are matters, challenges that they do contest what is called the route. So government had to intervene. They were also outlining the Department of Transport on the issues. In some instances, if a Teguini is pounding their taxis, we don't get on time on the issue of permits. So those are the issues at hand that we had to resolve.
So just looking at the taxis that have been impounded, you haven't actually, MEC, spoken to what has been agreed upon this evening, because as you and I speak, commuters are hoping to be up at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. and catch a taxi without scrambling for alternative transport. So in terms of the agreement, what has been agreed to, and also a little bit of expansion on those impounded taxis?
Reached a consensus that the taxis are going to be operating as from tonight, tomorrow morning, almost everything will be back to normalcy. So in normality will be the order of the day. What I did was to commission what is called the task team, where Department of Transport, Teguini and Association will embark on a strategy of meeting on a regular basis the issue of those taxis that are impounded, because we must differentiate. We are law enforcers in nature, both Teguini and the province. So we must still ensure that we adhere to all the laws of the land, but go deeper and check what ought to be done better in fast-tracking the process when they produce the receipt and all those things. So that's what we have to do, because yes, there are bottlenecks in some of the instances that they're referring to the issue of Teguini, and there were some delays when it comes to the province. So we're going to fast track those issues. Yes, on the issue of the study, Teguini has already outlined that before you give a taxi permit, you need to ensure that you check the economic viability, the study, the data, because you can't have probably 2,000 taxis, yet they're not going to do the profit. So I think all those issues, we've agreed that we're going to fast track the study as well. We'll also have what is called imbizo in relation to what is the issue of the challenges on the issue of route or the issue of e-hailing. So all those issues will reach the consensus, and we agree that from now onwards, the team is going to work to assist the process. But we also want to highlight, we are sorry for any inconvenience which might have arisen, in particular for our passengers, and for community at large, for those who were disturbed. Even the association said the same.
Yeah, because the commuters were allegedly being harassed by drivers in some areas who tried to stop them from boarding buses, and for bus drivers from transporting commuters.
That's the reality, which is why once there is a strike, as the department, we are duty-bound to ensure that we get more RTI, Chanela, and police so that people are protected. It's their democratic rights to use any type of transport mode. But unfortunately, as you know, that when the tensions are up, emotions in some instances are not controlled. So it's our duty that we must profile and safeguard those areas, which was the Clermont and KwaDabeka, in particular those areas were mostly affected. Then the rest of the eThekwini Metro, the issue of other regions, the day was also too long for them as there was that go-slow stroke strike. So it's something that we had to intervene, understanding the processes.
MEC, you mentioned that there are still some bottlenecks in eThekwini. And as you say this, I mean, this crisis is one that exposed the poor coordination between the eThekwini municipality and your department. Who exactly dropped the ball here? And, you know, is there any sense of accountability at this stage, given the impact on the economy, on commuters? What do you have to say to that?
Thomas, just allowed, I think, must be thorough and holistic. When you build and design a development, like eThekwini, for instance, there are new malls, there are new shopping complex. The reality is that as they develop that, they must also encapsulate the issue of the tax rank so that when we have taxes, the issue of the sanitation and all those things is done. The ablution facilities are there. That's another complaint, that they don't provide, that they don't always maintain that. On other issue that I've already highlighted, that you do have the data. Let's say, for instance, eThekwini, with these 5 regions, if you can only accommodate 1,000 vehicles, once you have Duma registering more than that, it means that the issue of profit, then they are not going to be able to pay for what they have at the end of the month. Those are the skewed equations that we must balance. But on top of that, it means that eThekwini must finalize the processes of the permission of those who are applying, because once we have done that process, it must come to the province. They are also saying that we also take time, but in some instances, we'll find that eventually we are going to reject almost all those new applications, but it's better that we do them on time. Unfortunately, there were taxes that were registered by 1982, but some of the things have not been followed, so that they don't have the permit and the eThekwini to pound those. And the contest then emerged that, unfortunately for you, eThekwini, you are allowing e-hailing with the Uber, the 7-seaters, to operate in these areas without our consent. So those are the issues that we have to dig deeper in ensuring that we do balance those issues. So I'm sure you wanted just to literally follow who is dropping the ball. I don't think the blame game at this point in time is easy like that. It's a complex matter. It's something that is sensitive and thorny in some instances, because when you pound the tax, it means that a certain family will go to bed hungry because they don't operate within those days. And when you just talk this matter, that is why the issue of law enforcement, we are particular that we can't compromise on that. But let us also check and fix things urgently, as I was outlining the issue of the board, that in some instances that the province don't return almost all the permits on time. It's something that we accept that we must fast track, as long as we serve new business, new ventures, the taxi operators must be followed properly, and the issue of application must be assisted, that you fast track those processes when they've been processed thoroughly.
Okay. Absolutely. Fast tracking is really an important part of this puzzle. We do thank you for your time, MEC. We're going to have to leave it there. MEC for Transport and Human Settlement, Siboniso Duma, speaking to us there on the latest negotiation on the taxi strike having now come to an end in Durban.